welcome to episode 9 of Ultra Q. We are finishing Ultra Q. We have finished it. We watched it. My name is Red. I'm joined by Mel.
For the final time, we are experiencing a parting of mind from body and becoming swallowed into this mysterious space-time.
Thank you. And Razan.
I want to go on the train where Ultra Q got extended. It never ended. Please, let me on.
No. The Silver Man is on his way.
I already quit my job and alienated my wife and child. Please.
I didn't check if I could come on board first.
No.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. But yeah, we finished Ultra Q. This is the finale for Ultra Q. I've really liked it. It's a good show.
Good show. We don't talk about episode 23, but it is a good show.
Yeah.
I posted this on Twitter late last night after I wrapped up the final episode. I did do these all one a night, just savoring the last bit of this show. But when I agreed to come on this podcast, I didn't expect to just get smacked in the face with easily a top 10 favorite TV show for me.
Damn.
I fucking love this show so much.
It's good. It's good.
It's very special.
Yeah. Well, before we get into that, first of all, just right at the top, I haven't done fucking anything. I've been busy. I will continue to be busy for a little bit, because moving, but that's all fine. I didn't really watch anything, but I guess you know what? I guess I can say I've read, because it's only been going for 12 chapters or something. I read the Ichinose family's Deadly Sins, or whatever it is, in Shonen Jump, which is just a very strange mystery manga. From someone who did have something going in Jump Plus, that I looked it up because I was curious, and found out it only ran for 2 volumes. And, judging by the pace of the Ichinose family's Deadly Sins, I think I can see why. It's going along at a feral clip. I don't think it's something that they're intending to, wring out for content forever. It definitely seems like something that is going places very quickly. Like I said, it's just a mystery anime about mystery manga about a family that wakes up, and after a car crash, the entire family has amnesia, and is trying to piece together who they are, how they relate to each other, what their lives are like. And it takes some very, very strange turns.
Now, when you say wake up, as in, they wake up in hospital beds, or, supernaturally there is a car crash and then they wake up at home the next day? What's the vibe here?
In hospital beds.
Okay.
I really like the character designs. The main character has the biggest ahoge I've ever seen. Just, huge. It's ridiculous.
How tall is it relative to the rest of their head?
Very. More than. But yeah, I'm liking it, and it definitely feels like it's not, it's not going to take forever to come out. So, yeah, that's it. That's the most I can do.
Can I talk about how I'm in maximum coping mode right now?
Uh-oh.
I watched an OVA called Twilight Q.
Oh.
Okay.
Made from our friends over at Headgear of Pad Labor fame. The name comes from literally just mashing together the Twilight Zone and Ultra Q, and that's what the show is.
Oh my god.
Okay.
When I said I had some shit that I was keeping secret in our little group chat, this is what I was talking about, because I stumbled onto this. I don't even remember how, but I was like, what? I am... this makes me sad, not because of it. And to be fair, this is a 2-episode OVA. I only watched the first one. I will report back on the second one. I definitely want to check back in. But I'm sad that this did not continue going because apparently it just did not sell well enough. But the idea behind it was really great. But it was basically a show that was made with the intention of finding up-and-coming talent in the animation industry and basically giving them a playground to tell, like, Twilight Zone-y or, like, Ultra Q style stories.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then it just failed miserably.
I guess I should have made Twilight Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have picked up.
Or like Man Zone. Oh no, Man Zone's probably taken and bad.
That sounds pretty great.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this right now. I'm just like seeing the staff on it. It's like, damn, okay.
Yeah, so the first one was written by Kazunori Ito, also known for writing Ghost in the Shell, the iconic movie. And then later on creating Dot Hack and all that. And I started losing it because the premise of the first episode is that these two high school girls are out on vacation on this island. And one of them is diving on a coral reef and finds a camera that's damaged just underwater. And she's like, that's weird. She goes and gets the film developed. The camera guy notes, like, this thing's been underwater for at least a year, probably 2. She gets the film developed, and it's a picture of her and some guy she does not know. Just immediately an idea that is revisited in Ghost in the Shell with that one guy and, like, the photo of his family and all that, and, like, artificial memories and playing with, like, those ideas. Right. So that was really fun to see. Then, like, it really starts to get into it. I don't want to say too much, obviously. I think people should go watch this. It's just on YouTube. You can just find this.
Nice.
Yeah. Subtitles are a little funky because I think they did the thing with the closed captions where they just, like, imported the file and there was, like, a few translator notes, so every now and again it screws up, but it's fine. We're not talking Mothra bad, thankfully. But then she goes to the camera manufacturer to be like, hey, I just want to know more about this. And the guy goes, well, I can't tell you about this because this camera isn't supposed to release until next year. And it's a fun little spooky mystery. And felt right at home, kind of, after finishing Ultra Q and all that stuff. It does a good job of aping the style. There's no kaiju, at least in the first one, but fun little horror anthology mystery show, and I'm very sad we don't exist in the world where there's like 20 of these. I think it would have been really fun. The second one is directed by Oshi, so I'm very curious to see where that goes. I don't know what it's about, so.
Nice. Sick. I literally just never heard of this.
Yeah, I saw this on Twitter and I went, what? At this point in my life, I am discovering this now. This is the perfect time to check this out, so.
Nice. Mel, do you have anything?
I don't have much. This week I was busy with other stuff, but I guess I took a little bit. I've been playing the original Paper Mario for the N64.
Yeah. That game got me into RPGs.
I am 3 chapters in as of last night, so a fair bit of the way in, but also not like halfway or anything. Gonna be a spicy take, but I'd say this is a good video game with some good game design. Some may even say there's intelligent systems at work here.
Damn.
True.
Shocking takes.
Yeah. So I think I don't know how many of you have ever watched video game essayists on YouTube of like the Nintendo variety, but I feel like there's definitely
I've been unfortunately like exposed, but I try not to make a habit of it.
I feel like there's like definitely a category of Nintendo YouTuber who is like, RPGs are dumb and bad, and except for the Mario RPGs because they use timed hits and that makes turn-based combat good, actually. And I feel like timed hits in... So, like, for context, I have played before Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga and, like, half of Super Mario RPG. And those also timed hits. Paper Mario being, like, originally conceived as a Super Mario RPG 2.
Yeah.
And, like, so, like, RPGs are often, like, about resource management. You have your health, you have your mana, you have items, and you go into, like, the dungeon and try and go as far as you can with the resources you have, using as much as you can, spreading it out as much as you can to get as far as you can. And in Paper Mario, those resources are fucking meaningful because Mario's, like, health is in the double digits, and damage is, like, single digits. So, like, when you have 20 health, even if you're doing, like, 1 or 2 points of damage, if someone does, like, 4 damage, that's, like, adds up a lot, and vice versa. And the way the timed hits help here, like, they're conceived in Mario RPG as, like, Final Fantasy VII is a game that doesn't exist yet, so people don't know what JRPGs are. So we have to introduce the concept of RPGs to people who only play Mario. Sadly, a genre of person that still exists, but, you know. as I may have alluded to with the Nintendo YouTubers, but anyway. I feel like on the base level, people, like, yeah, timed hits can be, like, for people who aren't as into the concept of turn-based, like, having a little minigame you do in the middle of turns to keep you engaged with an element of skill helps. But I also think it's, like, does a balancing act of, like, when the numbers and the resources are so scarce that, like, 2 points of damage is like, wow, this is a meaningful amount of damage that adds up really quickly. Augmenting that with, like, this skill-based minigame where, like, you can do more damage or mitigate damage by, like, skillful button presses. It kind of helps, like, it makes the resources, like, drawn out longer if, like, you can master the skill, which is good. It balances out. In the prologue of the game, you don't even have the timed hits, which kind of makes combat more of a slog than it would be in a conventional turn-based game where you have more options of what to do damage-wise. Because, like, you in the prologue, you have your basic attacks, which is, like, jump and hammer, which is helpful because, like, they have different kinds of enemies. Like, flying enemies can't be hit by hammers, and spiked enemies can't be hit by jumps. So interesting stuff going on there with, like, puzzle design to encounters. Like, that stuff is in RPGs, but, like, I think by, like, reduces it to, like, a very simplified form, so it's, like, you get to the core of what RPGs are in an accessible way for people who might not be as knowledgeable RPGs, while still, like, giving people who, like, are into RPGs a different spin on things that are, like, interesting and engaging.
Yeah.
And of course you have, like, the badge system, which is also, like, resources, because, like, every time you level up, and it's always, like, the same amount of experience to level up, you can either level up your health, your mana points, or, like, your badge points, which is how many, like, I guess you could call them, like, passive abilities or, like, magic skills you can put on yourself.
It's like Tinker Toy materia.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, it's like materia. Yeah, that's actually, like, the perfect analogy. It's exactly like materia.
I know this because as a teenager, when I played Final Fantasy VII and got to the materia system, I'm like, oh, these are just, like, badges from Paper Mario.
I mean, there's, like, a degree of lineage. Like, the Super Mario RPG devs worked on Final Fantasy. And, like, the Paper Mario devs were not... I mean, some of them may have moved over, but it's the studio that, like, makes Fire Emblem games, but, like, some of the Square devs may have moved over to Intelligent Systems, so... But,
and fun fact, the battle planner designer person for Mario RPG then went on to make Legend of Dragoon, which, in my opinion, the RPG that handled the time hits thing the best. Very, very, very mediocre RPG, but that battle system's kind of fun.
You know the RPG has timed hits for, like, no reason? FF8.
Yeah.
Does it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, exclusively for Squall's Gunblade, you can do a timed hit.
Okay.
8 is a weird game for a lot of reasons.
It is a very weird game. But anyway, yeah, badge points, you have to like, you sort of balance, do I want more passive stuff? Do I want to upgrade health? Or do I want like spells which, consume mana but will let me do more damage? And also those spells also come with like timed hit minigames that make them even more effective. And sometimes if you mess up the time hit, the spells are less effective. So there's a lot of like interesting choices going on. Really going the fullest with like, damn, your resources are like, for a game that's like, this is like, I feel like it's easy to like look at the game and be like, this is the baby's RPG for people who don't play RPGs. And I don't think it is that. Like, I think there's definitely like a degree where I'm like playing the game and going like, damn, I have like no resources here. And like but after the first chapter, you get like an ability which is like, hey, you can like focus and like charge up like a separate meter, and then with that meter you can like regain health and mana. But like it's still like you're taking a turn to recharge this stuff that like you could be doing like more damage. That's also adding up, and just like there's lots of like resources are a real concern in this game. I think that's interesting for a game that's like very easy to like see how people who aren't as into RPGs talk about it as like this is the good one because it's a Mario game, basically. And I think also like it's also illustrative of how like the timed hits aren't just like a thing that aren't just a spice you add to turn-based battle systems to make it good. It's like
no, because I have always kind of wondered that, because like whenever I saw any kind of like input in a turn-based system, like there was Yick or whatever.
Yeah,
I was looking at that and I was just thinking like, people talk about those Paper Mario games, but I'm not sure I see it. But yeah, thinking, when you talk about like when the numbers are that low, and it's like a bonus hit gets you a significant amount of the way there to doing lots of damage, it's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, like the timed hits are like to make your resources just like get you the extra distance with the resources you have, and like they're part of like informed and part of, like there is the spirit of like, yeah, the people who play Mario games might not just like watch the turns go by, and so there's that carryover. Like this is timed hits are like in all Mario RPGs from like the original Super Mario, the original Super Mario RPG, but also in Mario Luigi as well. That's the development in those games too.
And I guess in that capacity, it's kind of like an extension of like just a sort of fundamental reality about RPGs is like there's a muscle memory there already, like in terms of like hitting a random encounter, recognizing the combination of enemies, and just cycling through exactly what you need to beat it very quickly. Yeah. It's like you'll see like, oh, here's a Goomba with wings, and here's like a guy here's like a Goomba with spikes, and like, well, I gotta jump on him, I gotta use a hammer in this case, etc., etc. And like you get different partners, and like the way the battle systems are set up, you have like Mario does a turn, and then your partner does a turn, and like different partners have different moves. Like there's Goombario, who's like a Goomba, and he does jump attacks. But there's also like Cooper, who's a Koopa, and he's like does a shell attack, which is more like the hammer. And so like you may want to have different party members come in and do different attacks and swap them out as needed. And then also just like they have their own like spell moves with different effects. Like last chapter, chapter 3, you get this Ojo-sama.
I was about to bring her up. She's so fucking good.
So sometimes I like see like people with like Paper Mario avatars online. I'm like, wait, is there that much there? And then I see this Boo, and I'm like, oh, I get it. Appealing directly to my sensibilities. And she's like, her attack is like you move the left stick a bunch of times to like increase the amount of times she slaps the opponent as her basic attack.
Perfect.
But also her thing is like her ability both out of battle, because like partners have like an out of battle and in battle abilities, and both out of battle and like her spell in battle is like turning you invisible. So like in the dungeon she's introduced, there's like these enemies that like Goombas. But like they can sometimes just do a charge attack where like they charge for turn, and then if they hit you the next turn, they just fucking take like 6 damage off your health, and that's like fuck, that's a lot. at this point in the game. So you turn invisible, and then it's like, okay, I'm fine actually. So interesting game design stuff.
Nice.
Basically, yeah. Timed hits make sense as like a thing that's like part of the broader game design of these games. And I don't know. Maybe Razin has some content about Yick that you can discover.
I was about to say, so Mario, like Paper Mario is a game, like I cannot stress how important that specific game was for me growing up. And like it really did get me into RPGs. Like I actively searched out like, oh, I want to play other games like this, and then that's how I like got into Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest and all that stuff. And I was into Pokemon, but like that was different to me because that was about the little guys more than it was the like RPG stuff. But I've been meaning to revisit Paper Mario for years now, and then at some point in my life, Yick happened, and it's made me want some distance from too many of the kind of timed hit style RPGs just for a little bit. I'm probably over it by this point, but oh my god. Like, if you want the most not understand why Paper Mario works game in the world, Yick is just Jesus Christ. I recorded
the thing is, if you're listening, no you don't want to play Yick.
Yeah, you don't. You actually don't. It's not worth it. Me and my friends decided to record like a chapter by chapter. I'm going to just describe as a roast podcast of Yick because we went in earnestly being like, what's the deal here? And then it just became like hours upon hours of us just going, yeah, this sucks. So
I think it's just an aside. I think it's funny. Like I think I stumbled upon your roast podcast years back and like never actually got to listen to it. And then somehow a few years later, we're like end up meeting each other actually, and then I think that's funny.
Oh, and you were like, "Oh, that's the Yick guy."
No, I think I realized after we'd already been like friends for like a month or so, or 2 months. Like, oh wait, this person did that thing.
That happens to me a fair bit, actually. I've had that happen with people that are like, "Oh, I watched a Drakengard LP by you."
That was me. That was me.
Oh yeah, that was. I wasn't even saying that because it was you. I've had that happen with multiple people, but you are one of those people. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to play that video game.
No, that's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
That Babylon's Fall video is still in the back burner.
But yeah, I'd be curious to like finish this game because like I liked Superstar Saga a fair bit. I'm curious if I'd like this more. I'd like to go and do more than half of Super Mario RPG down the road, and see how that is, and then maybe try like I'd probably do like the next 2 entries each of Paper Mario and Mario Luigi, and then call it there because like Dancing Your Door and Super Mario seem alright. Partner in Time seems fine, and Bowser's Inside Story seems cool. So like I'll willing to give those a shot, but it is kind of curious seeing like. There was like for a while 2 separate branches of Mario RPG that spinned off of like the original that they couldn't make anymore, and it's interesting like the ideas that are inherited, but also the way there's different.
Yeah, I was one of those people that I liked what I played of the Mario and Luigi games, but I was really bummed in recent years how that at some point Paper Mario becomes more of an adventure game with RPG qualities to it. Around the time of the 3DS one, that's name I'm forgetting, that was critically not well received. Sticker Star, that's it. That game, if we want to talk about resource management, goes very hard on like, hey, you're using items for basically everything. And started to move the series towards like a different direction that I think with like the recent one on Switch, people are starting to open up to it more, but also there's no more, like, the Mario and Luigi shit's dead now, too. I want a fucking Mario RPG again and be kind of nice.
Yeah, like, there's a charm to the Mario RPGs, because they have a lot of, like, character to them, and, like, that's definitely there in, like, older Mario games, but there's definitely a sanitation of, like, more recent Mario games. It's kind of a shame. And, like, Mario lore is, like, not the most important, it's, like, the least important thing in the world, but also, it's kind of just neat to see, like, efforts to, like, expand that world when it does happen.
Yes, I agree.
I'm
even
the
the woods and the where you're at right now or whatever. I remember that scaring the shit out of me as a kid, and it's kind of cool seeing like the ghost enemies kind of get their own little area and like world.
Like I'm the kind of person who like sees that there's a shopping mall or a subway tunnel in like a Mario Kart game, and I'm like, dang, this sure is a location you never see in mainline Mario games, and I think that's interesting. Just like that this exists in the Mario universe. And it's just like a shopping mall, but like you don't see this stuff, and so it just like intrigues me when it does show up, even like little things like that.
In hindsight, the one Mario Kart 64 stage that is just on an honest to god highway with real ass cars is kind of funny.
Yeah. I was thinking that one too. Yeah, I've played like half of Mario RPG, and like I've played like based on what I've seen, like it is interesting, just like the different interpretations of locales they like give to different like places, because like they're trying to like make the Mario world like a lived-in world that you can explore. So that's cool and stuff. One last point on timed hits. I don't like it when Final Fantasy games make me do a mini game for my limit break. I'll be honest. I was just thinking like, hey, you know what else makes me do timed hits? In the context I don't care for, a Final Fantasy X for Overdrive specifically.
I'm just always thinking about the Tifa one is I'm a fan just because it's funny.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that she doesn't. I was just like piecing it together without actually knowing anything about Final Fantasy VII when I played it, and just being like, wait, so everyone else gets different moves, but she just, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the slot machine is like the least egregious one, and it's the most recurring one, but like it's like I enjoy FF10's battle system for being like a good version of like the turn-based system, and I prefer it to like ATB because like I don't really care for the bars filling up and waiting and being hit in the menus. But like then it's like you gotta press the sequence of buttons for Auron's super to actually do fucking shit.
Do the fire tornado.
Or like I don't know. Lulu's is the worst. It's fucking twirl your the control left analog stick so the spells are good. Whatever. It's bullshit. Anyway, I don't need to belabor this point on any longer.
It sounds like the conclusion is Paper Mario did it good. Final Fantasy X less.
Yeah, Final Fantasy X's battle system is good in other ways. It's just like the weird minigame and the weird Mario Party minigames when you have to do your limit break specifically is just why.
I am looking forward to 10 because I am just, I do have to go out of my way to try to enjoy ATB. Maybe I'll play Final Fantasy 13 and that will change it because that game seems just like very. If you enjoy the combat, you're gonna have a good time. I mean,
if you don't enjoy ATB, then I have good news about Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, that was my thing because I'm SMT brained about it, so I like to just sit there and just think about a move for a while.
Yeah, I like to sit there and think about the move, and also I like having the timeline and then being able to delay the other person's move.
Yes, man, Radiant Historia should be the greatest JRPG ever made. It's a shame that it has writing.
I just hate that like FF10 is like, dang, they did something like really good and then they just never followed it up. But I guess it's okay because like Gust and Falcom just took the same battle system and ran with it for all of their games of all time afterwards. So I don't know.
Digital Devil Saga was also like, what if we did that with SMT on top of it? I guess more properly, it's what if we took SMT combat, but instead of like getting skills like you would in other SMT games by like fusing and stuff, we just have a sphere grid.
I do like
they did do that.
Grid.
Yeah.
Sphere grid is pretty cool.
And instead of like spheres, you eat people.
Yeah, you have to eat other people. Yeah. You can get good at eating people.
Yeah. Army Hammer's favorite game.
Mario RPGs don't have eating people, but the boss of the area I just beat sure did just eat a bunch of booze.
They're already dead, it's fine.
I bet it tastes like marshmallow.
I haven't had marshmallow in age. That's not true.
Me neither.
I don't know why I'm calling myself out like this.
It's not like we know.
No. We want to talk about Ultra Q.
We probably should.
Hell
talk about
yeah.
Ultra Q.
Let's talk about Ultra Q. So today we got 4 episodes to get through. Episode 25 is called Devil Child. A string of mysterious and lethal crashes on the roads around Tokyo leave everyone baffled. In every case, there was seemingly no reason for the crash, and some token object has been stolen from the scene. The gang, plus Ichinotani, attend a magic show and watch an act they find difficult to explain. The magician shuts a young girl into a box, and then a ghostly image of her appears outside the box and floats in the air. Later, over drinks, Ichinotani speculates it may be the result of hypnotizing someone with a high degree of human bioelectricity. Sure, whatever you say, man. The girl, named Lily, is put to sleep by the magician, her father, by way of a music box and further hypnosis. After he has left the room, Lily's ghost appears once again and goes for a midnight wander around the town. It turns out, surprise, surprise, it's the weird ghost child causing drivers to freak out and crash. Ichinotani conducts an incredible experiment using Ippei as his guinea pig, and he sits him in a ridiculous-looking device and successfully separates Ippei's soul from his body, and then reunites them. He has a hypothesis based on this experiment. Ghost Lily is going to try to murder her own corporeal self.
Actually, I feel like I want to stress the point about this scene even harder because I really popped up when I saw it. He says, this is what happens when the bioelectricity is unbalanced, and then there's a separation of body and mind as Ippei gets stuck in this space-time.
It literally happens. There's a literal separation of body and mind.
I was like pointing at my screen going, holy shit.
That's the thing.
It's the thing. Oh, man. While investigating this lead, namely by watching the magic show again, the gang gets closer to Lily and her father and learns that Lily's music box is filled with the kinds of things lifted from the scene of the incidents. Also, it doesn't look like a music box, but I don't know if that's actually relevant in the show. They also learn that Lily wants nothing more than to visit the mountain where her father claims her mother lives. Push comes to shove, and the ghost manages to sneak Lily out to the mountain. It's up to Jun and Ippei to track her down and use Ichinotani's ghost body reunification machine to fix the problem. They find Lily walking along train tracks with a train bearing down on her. They successfully use the machine, and Jun pulls Lily out of danger just in time. Now, no longer needing to be hypnotized to sleep. Oh, I guess I assumed that. I don't actually know if that's confirmed. But now, Lily has a new act, one in which her father is a fucking clown. The end. Appropriate.
A lot of clown vibes this session, actually.
Yes,
but we'll
yes,
get
there's
to it.
multiple clowns.
I do want to point out that Lily did cause a plane to crash.
Yeah, I
Two people are extremely dead here.
I skipped over it, but Lily did kill those people.
Yes.
It was really funny. It was one of the 2 loser photographers that can't match up to Yuriko from last week. And there was a lot of discussions you want to be, because something always gets stolen at the scene, so you want to be careful about that wedding ring that you have there because you're married and you have a wife. And I was like, oh, buddy, oh no,
yeah,
you're dead.
Oh, I also very lots of confidence of people just assuming things like Jin going, oh, you shouldn't have used hypnosis for sleep because that'll make her schizophrenic, which is what happened. And I'm like, well, sure, I guess.
It's a very specific thing for hypnosis to cause.
Yeah.
Also, just the way the episode ends with the narrator being like, you see, Lily was not the devil, it was society.
Yeah, yes. We live in a society.
Ridiculous
I am
episode.
I am happy Ultra Q managed to get to actually this person is not just weird in their soul and bad, but it was the fault of everyone around her.
Yes, including her clown dad.
Including her clown dad. The effects on Lily's ghost were they felt like it felt like I was watching a 50s thing instead of a 60s thing, or something along those lines. It felt kind of out of another time.
I could see it, especially when she
but-
rises out of the water, I think, in that one part.
Right, yes.
I think that's right before the plane bit. I could be mistaken,
but I did like the bit where with the mirror, her just walking into the mirror or whatever. But yeah, I don't really have that much to say about this episode, to be honest.
I liked it. I'm happy we got another kind of ghost thing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess more egregiously a ghost thing rather than it just kind of being a background element like in Baron Spider.
Or a giant snail.
Yeah. It was all right. She did just kill those two guys, which is something.
Sometimes there are some guys and they're extraneous.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it's good to kill extraneous guys. But how much harm does it really cause?
It's fine. It's fine. Early 2000s Rider does this all the time.
Yeah.
At least once an episode.
Listen, I am here for high body counts. Tomino fan is signed on.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, overall I just thought this is a solid episode. Again, I'm happy we got another paranormal thing. It did make me a little curious, because I don't think they actually ever used the term astral projection in this episode, but this very much is in line with what that is.
Yeah.
And I was curious. I don't know how far back that is because I know that becomes a popular thing in the New Age movement, which is a little bit later on from this.
Okay.
But I was curious, I wonder where that idea kind of was in popular culture back when this show was made.
Yeah. Well, that won't be the first time today that we visit an idea that becomes very prominent in later Japanese popular culture. The last episode of this show is wild. Does anyone have anything more about episode 25 of Ultra Q? I mostly just liked it.
Yeah,
it was alright.
Ghost Girl episode fun.
Let me tell you about a good episode of Ultra Q.
Hell yeah.
Episode 26, Blazing Glory. There's a rising star in boxing and his name is Joe. Tale as old as time.
Yeah.
But with an Ultra Q twist, he's got a little crocodile buddy called Peter that he claims to get predictions about his fights from.
Real quick, I need to... So Mel put together a little fun thing for us to do later on. But she needed to know if it worked. So I decided to be a good friend and help her out and download it. And immediately, the first thing I see is this little fucking lizard man named Peter, and I just went in the chat, who the fuck is Peter? And that's what I knew. I needed to go watch more Ultra Q.
Oh man, it's Peter. It's
Peter! They just called him Peter!
It's just called Peter. He's a crazy he's a crocodile guy called Peter. And Peter always predicts victory for Joe by KO. And he always knows how many rounds it will take. And the predictions always come true, to the point you'd have expected someone to investigate this for, someone's throwing some money around here. These matches are getting fixed, surely.
In 60s Japan? Never.
Rather famously, boxing is a sport that has never been known for corruption.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, the press love this shit so much, but there's one thing they don't know. Peter gets smaller when it's cold and bigger when it's warm. take him out of water, and he grows from a baby crocodile to about the size of, I would say, a man in a crocodile suit. And not in the giant way, just normal, just human, just in a suit sized. Joe is on the cusp of real glory because his challenge has been accepted. He's going to take part in a fight for the championship. But then Joe disappears with only 7 days until the championship fight. Where could he have gone? Well, much like Lily's dad, he's become a clown, performing for a show at a hotel. By coincidence, the gang watches a show where Joe is performing, and Jun, being a huge Joe fan, recognizes him immediately. There's a bunch of intermediary steps here with Joe's boss finding Peter and accidentally growing him to human size.
To clarify, the circus boss, not like this boxing manager.
Yes, the circus boss, not the boxing manager. But skipping over a few steps here, Jun and Yuriko get Joe sat down for an interview, where he explains his fateful meeting with Peter. Joe kept catching him on his fishing line, no matter how many times he threw the little guy back into the sea. It seemed like fate. Joe reveals that to him, the predictions he gets from Peter aren't an act. He asks his questions, and he feels Peter's answers in his heart. But this time, Peter answered, "Joe, you poor thing, it's your turn to be knocked out." And Joe ran away. Clearly, he would rather live as a clown than sully his boxing name with defeat. Jun tries as hard as he can to persuade Joe to return to boxing, which takes many forms, but eventually he gives in and simply decides that Joe has to choose his life. Peter disappears, perhaps the fault of Joe's new boss, who thinks Peter is his next big star. A storm whips up and lightning strikes a tree, igniting it, and we hear a familiar cry. It's Peter. A fire blazes, and when Joe and the gang find Peter, the heat has caused him to grow to kaiju size. However, at Joe's repeated requests, Peter returns to the sea. And then, the next day, having now confronted his fear, Joe returns to his former life, I think. Maybe he'll win, maybe he'll lose, but either way, he's not wearing the clown makeup anymore. So, that's a W.
Now, did Peter return to the sea, or did he get caught in that fire that erupted at?
Yeah, there was a big ass explosion, and
there's a huge explosion. There's some ambiguity. I don't know.
I was surprised to see Joe alive, to be honest. At the end.
Yeah, I kind of thought they were both gonna die there.
Same. I also think there's ambiguity. So here's the thing. If this was not Ultra Q, there wouldn't be any ambiguity about what was happening with Peter. It would be very clear that what was happening was Joe was asking questions to his pet, and he was coming up with the answers himself in his brain as like a sign of his confidence or whatever. And he was just scared of losing and ran away. But because it's Ultra Q, there is some ambiguity about whether Peter is legit giving him psychic answers about what his boxing matches are going to be.
I think it's also
Go.
It is worth noting that like Joe does confide in Jun that like it's not like he is like feeling like he is slowing down. Like he's still winning, but he feels like he's not as good as he's losing his touch even as he's still winning. So maybe that's also like adding some credence to like he isn't just like going solely off of Peter's predictions, even if maybe Peter is still predicting. I think that's a wrinkle that adds to it. I really like just all the scenes of Jun and Joe. Jun trying to persuade Joe to return to boxing. Really well done.
Yes, there's the point where they're on that dock and he throws that bottle into the water and it's just kind of circling and you see it sink as the conversation goes on.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, and it's interesting in the way that he kind of doesn't persuade Peter, really. Like he tries his best, but it doesn't work. It takes Joe. I'm so stupid. Did I say persuade Peter?
Yes,
I think you did.
You listen. sometimes you got to persuade a crocodile to get in the ring.
This time the ring was the ocean.
Yeah, but his attempts to persuade Joe don't actually work. It takes losing Peter, and it takes the actual confrontation at the docks, which I thought was nice.
Yeah, one thing, I do think it's really funny how when Joe reveals Peter's whole thing, June's like, I think you're just hypnotizing yourself with your pet lizard, which is an extremely funny way to put it. But I do, circling back to what you're talking about, I think that in terms of direction and just overall cinematography, I think this is just the best episode of this show.
It's really good.
Even the transitions are great. Kind of at the start, giving us a little highlight reel of who Joe is and why people like him. Mm-hmm. It's just really efficient and well done.
Oh yeah, there was a really good transition when like Joe is like asking Peter about like how the world championship match will go, and then just like cuts out his silhouette and then fades to like the news conference where he's missing.
Yeah.
Some good stuff.
There's some stuff in here that like they tried before in an episode that we weren't so high on. The one with what was it? The one where at the very end the kids launch a rocket at a volcano.
Yes, SOS Mount Fuji.
That's the one.
The one I keep forgetting.
A volcano, Mount Fuji, moron. A volcano. But yeah, there's some stuff. There's like a couple of moments in that episode that are similar, but it's not. It doesn't handle it with confidence like it does here. There is also just it's a boxing story. There's only so many boxing stories you can tell, and it tells this one well and very quickly. I was impressed.
Yeah, as someone who I just love any stories about fate, fighting fate, that sort of thing. As someone who, like, I have a deep-seated fear of the idea that everything is predetermined and we have no actual agency in our lives. I don't believe in fate. I think it's all bullshit. But just as a storytelling concept, it fascinates me. And I really appreciate how Peter comes to control this guy's life, even though it's through no fault of Peter's own. And just the look of confidence he has as he walks out towards the unknown at the end, and just accepting that sometimes life is better not knowing what comes next for us. It just really hit home in a way that makes me kind of wish this was the last episode of the show a little bit.
It would have been a really good last episode of the show.
It's such a definitive final note. Well. Yes, that would.
Would you say, right? I can.
I also thought the next episode would also have made for a really good final episode. Right, yeah. But that's for different reasons.
Go ahead.
I
just think like we've talked a little bit about the show how like it's really playing around in different genre spaces a lot while having its own unique spin, usually in the form of a giant monster. Like you have a ghost story that's about spiders. You have a balking story about like a weird crocodile. The snail in the statue, etc. It's just kind of interesting. I was like, we're doing an anthology show and like doing really different stories while also somehow still managing to make the weird monster stuff work.
I was like, so Peter's gonna be a thing, right? And then takes him out of the water and just grew into just I'm right. On the one hand, this is the shoddiest looking suit that I think we've seen in the show so far. This is like the least convinced that I've been.
This is a Spirit Halloween lizard man suit.
But that did add to how incredible it was.
Yeah.
I was really like, oh my god.
Well, there's that bit where Peter gets on the loose to harass the boss, and I thought that we were about to get like a major shift in the episode, and then they're like they play it off as if, shucks, my dog chased off my boss. It's very funny.
Yeah.
The boss is fine. He just like He's fine.
He's an asshole, but he's fine.
Yeah. Also, too, if I caught a tiny little lizard thing on my fishing pole and then it grew to the size it did on my tiny ass boat, oh my god, terrifying. I don't know how he shoved it back in the water. I guess he is a professional boxer. He's probably strong, but
he made friends with Peter, Goku style. He punched that giant crocodile back into the sea, and it kept coming back for more. Damn.
Oh man, one day we're gonna have to deal with Ultraman in the post Dragon Ball world.
Oh my god.
oh, I never even thought about that.
I actually don't know if it'll make much of a difference, to be honest, but
We'll have to see.
I mean, I say that knowing that like most of the Ultraman I've seen has been post Dragon Ball world.
I will say this is furthering my. I think I've kind of developed a little thing with this show towards the end here, where I'm like, I think some of my favorite episodes of Ultra Q, it's when the monster isn't even an enemy; he's just a little friend.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
Peter's.
thankfully, not every Ultraman will be the monster's enemy. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, unless we have anything else about episode 26, well, I guess I just have the one final note, which is just I like that he doesn't just go off and win the fight. We just don't know. Because you don't know. You can't be afraid of tomorrow's Joe. Tomorrow's Joe. But if that's all we have about episode 26, we can get on to episode 27, The Melancholy of Flight 206.
That's not what it's called.
The Disappearance of Flight 206. I apologize. Jun and Ippei are aboard Flight 206, a fancy new jet-engined airliner returning from some flight course in Hong Kong. Among the other passengers is a handcuffed prisoner. Ippei jokes that they should sell the Cessna and buy a jet, and Jun says, yeah, sure, we'll get a jet when you become a decent pilot. It's fucking cold. I have a story about that later. Their plane has a problem. A weird airborne whirlpool sucks them in, and they are transported to another dimension. In Tokyo, Yuriko and Ichinotani meet at the airport and wonder what could have happened to Flight 206. In another dimension, Flight 206 sits still on a floor of clouds, engines quiet, and the passengers all passed out. They regain consciousness one by one, but the prisoner woke up before his cop escort and now has everyone at gunpoint. The prisoner, the pilots, and Jun and Ippei head outside to investigate. Walking among the clouds in what seems like ever so slight slow motion, or something like that, or they're just deliberately slowing themselves. I don't know.
I took it as deliberate walking because they were terrified of falling through. But
yeah, but there's a couple of moments where people fall in almost as though they're on the moon or something. It's weird. Anyway, I'm getting off track. They find the remains of planes, mostly from World War II. Struck by the prisoner, Ippei falls to the misty floor, and when he stands up, he finds his hands full of big marbles, which the prisoner looks at and goes, diamonds. And I go, no. And he starts searching the floor. Jun takes this opportunity to tackle the prisoner and seize the gun. But before he can, 2 shots are fired, and both the pilots are injured. In the struggle, the prisoner falls to the floor and slowly sinks through it. A giant walrus appears.
Daddy Walrus really let himself go.
Daddy Walrus is back.
He's finally here.
They flee back to the plane. Get the Jun, Ippei, and the pilots, not the walrus. The walrus follows them, kind of. They flee back to the plane, get the radio working, and contact Tokyo Airport. Yuriko and Ichinotani inform them of the strange phenomenon from their perspective. They can hear Flight 206, but they can't see it, and it isn't getting picked up on radar. The walrus is coming, and seems pretty mad about being disturbed. They have to get the plane off the ground, but the pilots are injured. Is there anyone who can fly this plane?
If only there were some narratively important characters who also happen to be pilots here.
It's time for the fucking boys!
When Jun announces that he can fly this plane, the look on this flight attendant's face is priceless. Like, just the most, like, hero worshipping, like...
Yeah, same. She's just like me. Jun and Ippei successfully get the plane. They just have like a hero walk into the cockpit and sit down, like a determined nod towards each other, and I'm like, hell yeah, there's the fucking heroes. Jun and Ippei successfully get the plane into the air, blowing the giant walrus away with the engines. They find the exit of this weird whirlpool dimension and escape back to our world. And the narrator makes one last attempt to put the fear of God into anyone thinking about flying to or from Tokyo Airport. The end. I just found that end narration really funny. It's like, hey, if you're flying over Tokyo, you might get caught in a weird dimension where there's a giant
he just
walrus.
like, portals are like just one of the risks of supersonic flight.
Yeah. I don't know about the giant walrus, but everything else about this episode is really cool.
The walrus is extremely just like, yeah, we need a monster here. It's just very funny.
It's the most you would just wanted to make unbalanced, but yeah.
This was the most. I appreciated this episode because overall I still like it, but that walrus does come out of nowhere and honestly really not matter except for adding like a suspenseful, like, oh, are they gonna make it moment right at the end there. It kind of made me appreciate the other episodes more, because I feel like there's a version of this show where we get a random walrus you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is a much worse version of this show where the monsters are not as well integrated as they were for the rest of the run.
I'll be honest, I wish it was Pegula.
Oh my god! It should. Pegula's kind of got walrus vibes sometimes. We've said that.
Yes.
You know what this is? This is alternate form Pegula.
Oh shit! Pegula from another world.
Yeah, it was Pegula trying to get Jun from another dimension. I'm taking that as a victory. We got our rivalry.
It's true.
I'm glad you can just headcanon a better show into existence.
Headcanon? What are you talking about? It's real.
No, this is real. We're editing you know what? The Ultra Wiki has been wrong about many things. We could just...
Yeah, we can just go in there. Just correct shit. Absolutely.
Name it Pegula too.
Yeah. There was a moment where I was like... Now, I realize Airplane is a movie that is parodying many movies of this kind. But when it was like, is there anyone who can fly the plane? I was like, this is from Airplane. I realize it's not from Airplane. I realize that's not true.
I actually need to watch Airplane, to be honest.
It's Airplane's ridiculous. Yuriko and Ichinotani just being allowed into the tower was pretty funny.
Yeah, Ichinotani was like, one of those guys here was one of my students, so he'll let us in. And he does. Like, he doesn't even introduce himself. He's like, oh, hey, you're here. Anyway, I'll flip in the details.
Ichinotani has taken umbrage to us talking about him as though he doesn't matter and he's not actually smart, and he's increasingly made himself relevant.
He does have, I would describe as a worryingly, like, unreactive demeanor this episode, where he, like, Yuriko is freaking the fuck out, justifiably so. She thinks her two friends are dead. But Ichinotani is just kind of staring blankly ahead, like, well, in science fiction stories, sometimes planes disappear. What's up with that? We're gonna figure out. We're gonna get to the bottom of it. It's kind of unflinching to a point of making me worried about what this guy's up to.
Yeah,
this is him smiling when Mongula dies.
Yeah,
yes.
I did like the Yuriko's characterization in this episode. part of me wonders, like, oh, is the reason she was emotional is because woman, but I feel like the show is probably better than that, I think.
Yeah, there's like a degree of Star Trek fainting woman thing, but it is also just she cares about her friends.
Yeah, I feel like we had a conversation a few episodes back about like a similar situation where like Yuriko was extremely distressed, and we felt like the show hadn't shown us their relationship and made us think like there was an emotional thing there. And I think we criticized
that might have been the 1/8. It might have been the 1/8 project.
Yeah, that I brought that up with the 1/8 project because it shows like part of that episode showcases her like concerns and anxieties about like Jun and Ippei leaving her behind after she's gone. That at least
which spoilers, she's not the one that has to be worried.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I feel like it worked better in this. I guess maybe it feels better in this episode because it doesn't feel as out of nowhere.
It's definitely like much more warranted warranted concern. It's, you know, they've disappeared. They're not on radar anymore. Where the fuck are the boys gone? But yeah, they save the day. We don't get to see them land, but they get to fly a sick jet. So Ippei gets his wish immediately.
That won't last.
It won't. Rip. Unless we have more to say about episode 27, I guess on that note we could get into the final episode of Ultra Q.
The final episode.
I almost don't wanna. If we just stop the podcast here, we'll always have an episode of Ultra Q to talk about. But
yeah,
episode 28 of Ultra Q is called Open Up. Ippei gets fucking abandoned in the first 30 seconds of the episode. We basically don't see him again. His last
but
act of
they
note,
did my boy dirty.
Yeah, he's just like carrying all their stuff, and we all just drive off without him.
Yeah, Yuriko urges Jun to just drive away without Ippei, and Jun's like, that seems mean.
He calls them a murderer, which is very funny.
It is very funny. His last act of note is he watches in horror as a flying train passes by overhead. Goodbye, Ippei. It was nice.
Yeah.
On a late night drive, Yuriko and Jun fantasize about leaving their normal lives behind and going somewhere where there are no worries and no responsibilities. They come across a man lying on the road. Maybe a hit and run, maybe he's drunk. Either way, can't just leave him there. They put him in the car and decide to take him to Dr. Ichinotani's place.
For some reason.
Dr. Ichinotani.
Hey, he can dissect this guy.
Yeah. I mean, he does hypnotize him.
Also, I do want to state a little PSA. If you find someone who you think has been hit and run on the road, please do not move them. You're probably causing more damage. You want to cordon off the area and please call the authorities. They may as well have killed this guy, possibly. So,
Yuriko very disappointed by the prospect that he's not actually a hit and run victim, but actually just drunk.
Yes. She's like, oh man, did we really ruin tonight just based on, some guy got drunk? Which he is maybe drunk, but not that drunk. There's other stuff going on.
I mean, Jin also says if we just left him there, he could get run over. So
this is also true.
Yeah.
So, on the way to Dr. Ichinotani's place, they stop at a train crossing, and the sound startles the stranger awake. He leaps from the car and makes for the passing train, yelling, "Open up!" He's kept from danger by Jun and Yuriko, but he keeps on yelling, and we flash back to his experience on the most diagonal train in existence, on board the flying train. His name is Sawamura, and he has no idea how he got on the train, nor any idea how to get out. He initially seems to be the only passenger, and there's like an extended scene of him desperately crying for help. for the train to let him off. While every time he runs from one side of the train to the other, they switch which way they've tilted the footage. It's fun. Eventually, a conductor finds him and asks for his ticket. Without a ticket, he is brought to the man in charge, science fiction writer Kenji Tomono. Kenji explains the situation to Sawamura and a few other passengers who have inexplicably found themselves on this train. This is an interdimensional train, created to take people to the world of their dreams where they have no worries and no responsibilities. As they travel, they will be able to see their own pasts through the front windows of the train. Sawamura looks, sees his wife and daughter, and does not want to leave them behind. He begs to be let off the train once again. Back in the present, Sawamura is released from Dr. Ichinotani's care and picked up by his family.
I want to point out that in this scene, like, Dr. Ichinotani is like explaining the train deal to Jin and Yuriko, and he just shows him like in this other room where he has this woman in like a cell, basically freaking out about the same train stuff. I'm like, why do you have this woman here? What the fuck?
Yeah,
what are you doing here?
Dr. Ichinotani is so evil. This is like the most evil scientist I've ever seen in my life. And Jin and Yuriko are like, oh, okay, interesting.
He's like, and then in my other room, I got all of my victims of the X-ray beam.
Yeah. Dr. Ichinotani confirmed evil.
More bodies for the volcanic layer to dispose of.
Here's all the ghosts I separated.
Yeah. God damn. Sawamura is clearly not actually all that happy to be back with his wife and daughter. He is rapidly reconsidering. He lets them continue home by themselves. He needs to go to work at 4 p.m. At work, his boss ridicules him for his behavior, and Sawamura decides to quit on the spot.
Well, he not on the spot. Oh, yeah? He like goes back to his desk for like 2 seconds, and then comes back.
Yeah, he
while everyone else is going home.
So he gets handed like a tiny little bottle of like whiskey or something, and just sits with it for a bit, and then walks back over and returns it and leaves. I assume this means something to someone who works in an office in Japan in the 60s.
I had the same thought. I was like, there's a cultural thing here I'm just not getting.
Yeah. I kind of liked when like the boss just like takes the ball and like throws it, but we don't hear like the shattering because it just jump cuts to Jin in the car.
Also, the boss insults him in a way that was really funny, where he is like roasting. He's like, oh, are you just like, can you not see that's not sunrise, that's sunset? Is east west for you now? Do you get those confused?
This is what happens when you're on a train that diagonally stretches your sense of time and space.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, the gang minus Ippei investigate the weird train. It turns out there are many instances of train cars floating away, presumably to be used for the interdimensional train. Jun and Yuriko find out that Kenji Tomono disappeared some time ago, and his manuscripts get delivered to his residence. Jun and Yuriko read his latest delivery, in which Kenji talks about the difficulties of writing when weighed down by worldly concerns, and how cool it is to get isekai'd for real to an alternate dimension where there are no such worries. Sawamura walks alone at night and spots the train flying overhead. He cries out for it to take him away from this cruel world. The end. Kenji Tomono got isekai'd. Or he just is trying to get isekai'd.
Also, I want to just mention that like they get a manuscript from his place, but also one just shows up in their car later.
Yes.
And they are very spooked out by it.
Yes. There was the point at which I was sort of like, damn, this is a long episode. When's this wrapping? How much longer have I got? Was about when the episode ended.
Yeah.
because I was like, I feel like they've got a lot to go here. They did not. I thought that the train was cool. I liked Sawamura on the train. It was very weird and creepy.
I think the diagonal stretching on the image kind of grated me at first, but I got used to it.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy the interdimensional train.
Yeah.
It made me almost wonder a little bit if this was an influence on Galaxy Express 999. I don't...
shit, that's a good question.
Like, I mean, I guess the idea of, like, space train isn't super, it's kind of general, but it made me wonder. Specifically with the, like, we're visiting other... I guess this plays it more as, like, we're visiting other dimensions or, like, alternate realities versus, like, other worlds, but...
Yeah.
Did Kenji actually get isekai'd? Or is he just really into it?
Hard to say.
Yeah.
It is extremely funny that he basically is like, I went to a science fiction meeting, everyone there sucked, I'm in a slump, I'm gonna just wish myself into an isekai, and then it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, Tsuburaya. It's just he's like doodling, he's like sketching out this plot line on a napkin while he's at dinner with just like people who suck. He's just like, I should get isekai. A train should take me to another world.
His little diatribe where he's recounting his trip to the like futuristic world, and we get to see what that looks like, is very funny, with like the like flying like buses. Like it's
extremely old school what the future looks like. It's really good. Very French.
I kind of dig that, like, I think it's a bold and perhaps like very intentional choice to end the show with a thing that doesn't actually have a real kaiju.
Right, yes. Yeah, this is true.
Yeah.
I hadn't considered that because, we did the thing earlier and it listed the interdimensional train, but that's not actually a kaiju. That is just a train. It would be a kaiju if it got possessed by some weird precure dark energy. But those are the only conditions. Sawamura's wife and daughter get like I want to say maybe not this episode is not fair on wives.
Yeah, I was wondering, seeing this scene, it's like, dang, she's heard of Stuck. This probably seems a bit misogynist.
She was really funny, but it was extremely like, damn,
the old balls
your
and
ear
chains.
off, can't you? Can't
Yeah.
they? Yeah. It was kind of. If I was Sawamura, what I would have done, as said earlier, is maybe wait to simply leave everything behind before until like I've definitely got a ticket for the train. But,
I don't know if this episode is trying to go for a moral or if it's just trying to be evocative, but it is a weird one.
I definitely go for evocative. I think it's it's kind of on the one hand, it is kind of mean to his family, but on the other hand, I do kind of like the bleak ending of him like, nah, you know what? I didn't actually prefer to stay with my family than to go to the cool new place. I did want to go to the cool new place instead. Just take me.
Yeah.
It's like, close encounters of the third kind.
Feel bad for Ippei that the last thing we see him do, he's like working on he's working on the plane doing his job while like Jin and Yuri are like there reading the manuscript.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just in the background.
I did kind of also feel that too. I'm like, I really wish the last episode was like all three of them. Even though I guess they are compared to some episodes, they do play a pretty good role. Like they do the investigation with figuring out how the logistics of all this work. So, but yeah, there is a little bit right at the beginning where Yuriko kind of like coyly like teases June and is like, oh well, it could just be like the two of us more often or something like that, which was kind of surprising to me, because if I kind of felt more of a thing there watching the show between her and Ippei than with her and
I mean,
June.
I feel like there's a degree of like the writers and I guess the audience at the time expect the two leads to be together because that's how it is, even if like the chemistry is itself different or like things are not quite it. Like even in like in episode 27, there's a degree which is she seems like she's more distressed about Jun being gone than like Ippei.
Yeah.
It does feel a bit like these are the two lead characters and one is a guy and one is a girl, and so they are together. Or that's the red string of entertainment industry writing, I guess.
Yeah. Yes.
In spite of the pre-established
the role of
Bert
fate.
In spite of the pre-established Bert and Ernie mode, the writers will.
It is the
want.
60s. We have not escaped the gravity of compet.
No.
But overall, I think this was the episode I was the coolest on of this bunch. But I do, again, that bleak ending is honestly pretty good. Of him just watching the train go away to the skies, and he's basically ruined his life before knowing for sure that he has a path forward, and he just has to live and deal with that.
Yeah.
It's tragic. But
listen to me, teenagers of Japan, and also people who watch anime, an isekai is not a realistic dream. You can't rely on that. You do have to engage with the world.
Also, as Dan Vine shows, that is not necessarily a good thing either.
Yeah. It can go mad wrong.
Oh man. Yeah, I would say I prefer like episode 26 and 27 to this one. But there was definitely the feeling watching this of just like both just like it is very evocative, this episode still, especially with that ending. And also it was me also watching this going, damn, this sure is the final episode of this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We finished Ultra Q.
Yeah.
It's done.
It happened very quickly. But yeah. I'm a big fan. I think it's a really good show.
Yeah.
I am nonetheless looking forward to the Silver Man.
I am too. I am curious to see how they make that transition. I have opened up my heart to the Silver Man and his Lord above, capital L.
Yeah. It's gonna be really funny if the Catholic vibes just aren't that there to that degree.
I think so. Like, I don't know.
It might take some time.
So, like, I don't know how Catholic Subarai's kids are. Like, they grew up in a Catholic household, so maybe that's like some degree of thing there. But also, Subarai was a convert, which does sometimes lead to like more dedication in a way.
Yes.
Especially, I guess, if you're in an extremely not Christian country like Japan. So I guess I'm just like, it'd be extremely funny if like the Catholic stuff just seems more prevalent in like the future stuff than in the stuff AG was actually involved in.
That would be funny.
I think at some point we had a similar discussion and we landed on the funniest possible result would be that his kids aren't Catholic, but out of respect for their dad, they really lean into it and just get it extremely wrong. High energy.
See, to be honest, in a way, this has already happened, and the show is called Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Well, yeah, you know what? Fair play.
Ano was Subarai's greatest son.
Yes.
I noticed So like, there's other podcasts that disrespect Anno, but I don't mean to do it here. But I do think AG Superaya would see Anno and be like, "Who are you?"
Oh man. Superaya watching Shin Ultraman, like, damn, it's
Why do you sniff her?
What's
This isn't good Christian media.
This is weird behavior. I think you have things to confess. But yeah, that was ultra cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, one of my favorite TV shows of all time now, I think. Like,
Yeah.
definitely somewhere in the top 10. I had a great time watching this week to week.
Yeah,
I'm sad it's over.
I really enjoyed it. I'm really glad this wasn't just a stepping stone into the Silverman. Like, I feel like there's probably a lot of people who just skip out on Ultra Q probably for that reason, but no, it's a special and unique show in its own right, and it'll be interesting to see like how, if at all, like the DNA of Ultra Q is carried forward through the franchise to modern day.
I'm kind of curious about that. Even going, like, logistically speaking, going into the next one. I know it's even longer. And what that to me indicates is, oh god, that's a lot of monster props, and I'm curious if we're gonna see crossover.
Yeah.
I mean, even within Ultra Q, they reused some of them and stuff, and kind of redid things to work with what they had. I'm curious what they're
that's
gonna
not
do
even
Ultraman.
putting aside the fact that a lot of like the stuff in Ultra Q was already reused from previous Toho stuff. So
Yeah,
and I will say, like, Superaya having monetary issues is a thing throughout all time, and so reuse of kaiju is prevalent. Especially in the modern era where they're like, we only have enough money to do a show for 25 episodes every year.
Yeah. You know what this means though? Is a higher possibility of rivalries.
true.
We could get a new Jun and Pegula. It could be Mephiles.
It could be Mephiles.
It might not be. I don't want to hype up. We have hyped up Mephiles so much.
Yeah, the bar was set too high. Hopefully, no matter what, the episode will be enjoyable on its own terms.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
So, not to steal the format of another podcast entirely, but
we would never.
We would never, but we did do a thing. Because, there are a lot of kaiju in this show, and so we fucking ranked them, didn't we?
Yes, we sure did.
Yes, we did.
We did. How do we want to do this?
Do you want to do number by number or person by person? I'm down for number myself.
Do we want to do the full list then too, or do we want to do like bottom 1 and top 5?
I was willing to do the full list. We might have to do less in later seasons, but I figured like we may as well.
30's not insurmountable.
Yeah,
it's 30. So I'm gonna start with my bottom one. 30 M1.
Somehow mine was Gorgos. My 30 was Gorgos.
Mine was also Gorgos.
Let me tell you about my 29, Gorgos.
Yeah. This one's mean. My 29 is Lily.
Oh, my 29 was Sudar, because I kind of... Red broke my brain when they said I could just go look up a YouTube clip of an octopus, and I went, you know what? Fucking yeah, I can.
I mean, I feel like I'm definitely like, these aren't exact. Like, this isn't exact science, so these could be fluid at any time, but these are just what the ranker gave us.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where it's like, when you're ranking these, are you ranking it for its narrative usage? Are you ranking it based off of solely aesthetic appeal? Like, there's a lot of it's a range of emotions.
Like, there's stuff where I can be like, I can see a situation where I put this one lower than the other one. Like Lily, like I enjoy the episode, but I'm also just like not as impressed by Ghost Girl.
Yeah.
Compared to a fucking... Thanks, Red.
Actually, I wanted to
welcome.
my friend Claire would My friend Claire would kill me if I didn't point this out, but if we both had the same reaction to one, I think it was the shot of her on just walking around on the streets or whatever, but me and my friend Claire at the same time watching that episode went, oh, this is just like Twilight Syndrome. If you want something that is that vibe, Twilight Syndrome is a Suda51 adventure game for PlayStation 1. It's not available in English as like a ROM hack or anything, but there is someone on YouTube who just went through the game and using like the closed captions on YouTube just provided an English translation. And I mean, it's an adventure game, so you're basically like getting the full experience, even if you're not playing it yourself. So
Nice.
go check out Twilight Syndrome. It's a good time.
Nice. The list, 28.
Totala? What is Totala? You know what?
Totala is the walrus.
Oh, yeah, it's a bit of rubbish. It's just in there.
Yeah. Mine was the Dragon Palace Dragon.
Mine was M1.
Yeah. My 27, Morpho Butterfly.
My 27, M1.
My 27, Duran, which I did not know it was called that this entire time until getting to the sorter.
What is the Duran?
The mammoth flower.
Oh, yeah. 26, Bostang.
26, Totala.
26, Pagos, which I personally would probably have put a little bit higher, but
yeah, there is a degree of like sort of logic where it kind of tricks you into having opinions that you don't believe.
Yeah.
But this is how it is. 25, Lily is just a ghost. She's just a ghost.
25, the Morpho Butterfly.
25, the Morpho Butterfly.
Hey.
24, Dragon Palace Dragon.
24, I'm sorry, Peter.
24.
Yo, what?
Yeah,
No,
actually, Peter's pretty high for me. 24, Goro.
You know, Peter's pretty good. Whatever. I just roll around solo. It's fine.
No. We're all entitled to our opinions. Mel. 23, Goro.
23, Bostang.
23, Koji, in parentheses, giant.
He is a giant Koji. 22, Suda.
22.
See, I was in... No, go ahead.
No, you finish.
I was kind of reverse. I was like, octopuses are cool.
Yeah. The thing is, it is just an octopus, but the effects are very cool. 22,
Yeah.
Goro.
22, Gomez.
22... Oh yeah, 21 for me is Ragon.
21, Sudar.
21 for me is Boss Tang.
I forgot what Ragon was, to be honest.
Ragon's the lizard people from...
The-
Under
Oh,
the
yeah.
Sea.
The amphibian mom.
Right, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the one where she just wanted her kid back.
Yes.
20 is Pagos.
20, Duran, the flower.
20, Larugius.
Ah, yeah.
The number 2 bird.
The bird.
Yeah.
The one that definitely got thrown in the water.
It's absolutely, it was just left in the water.
Actually, fun little thing here. I decided to just flip through that booklet we got with the steelbook. Just to take a gander at who made these episodes. To no surprise to anyone here, I think, Dragon Palace and Kennigan's Cocoon both had the same writer-director duo. You want to know the third episode that had that same fucking writer-director duo?
Tell me.
I
Was
Saw
it
a
the
Bird.
bird?
Yes.
Oh,
Of course.
Okay.
Naturally. Fantastic. What a trio of episodes.
Yeah.
Where even was I?
19.
Oh, yeah.
19.
19. Namagon, the big slug.
19 for me, Pagos.
19 for me is the number 1 bird, Litra.
Nice. 18, the interdimensional train.
18, Ragon.
18, the interdimensional train.
Hey. 17, Duran. I like the flower.
17, Giant Kochi.
17, Lily.
16, Peter.
16, Largius.
16, Dragon Palace Dragon.
15, Kemmer.
15, Gomez.
15, Namegon.
What did I have? 14. Now, you can't hurt me for this. Canagon.
Damn.
Listen, sorters, they pull different beliefs out of you.
Okay, so you can't judge me for Peter.
No, I can't judge you. I can't. I will not judge you for Peter. You're all right.
My list so far is unbelievable.
14, Litra.
14, Ragon.
13, the Cicada Man.
13, Big Ipe Engine.
13, the Cicada Man.
Nice. 12, Koji, Giant.
12, Namagon.
12, Goga. Which I was honestly surprised was not higher, but there's a lot of good kaiju in the show.
There are. What was I? Oh yes, 11, Big Ipe and Jun.
11, the multi-dimensional train.
11, Big Ipe and Jun.
10, Gomez.
10, Cicada Man.
10, Mongula.
9, Larigius? Or Lagius? One of those.
Yeah.
The bird. Kuro, the bird.
9, Mongula.
9, Balunga.
8.
Getting into some real all-timer territory.
Oh, yeah.
8, fucking Pagula.
8, Baron Spider.
8, Totala. It's stupid. I like the fact there's just a walrus in the clouds.
It's no variant. It's just a walrus, and it's huge for some reason.
Not stated in this episode. In the episode we talked about it, just them telling to Jun and Ipe, "Hey, you're literally above Tokyo according to radar." And Jun's like, "What the fuck? We can't be. There's a fucking walrus here."
It's such a funny bit of information to add to the episode of just, there's an alternate dimension in the sky where a giant walrus lives. No, not any kind of bird or anything. Walrus. Yes.
That likes to smash and devour airplanes, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sleeps on a bed of marbles.
They're diamonds?
Yeah, diamonds. Where was... Oh, wait, I had said Pegula was 8. Yes, we had gone through 8.
Oh, yeah.
7. Oh, had you said 8?
Yeah, I said 8. I was Baron Spider.
Okay, yeah.
Raskin, what was yours 8 again?
Total.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how we got here.
Yeah.
7, Mongula.
7, Gameron, the Dragon Palace turtle.
My 7 was also Gameron.
6, Litra.
Not to be confusing. 6, Garamon.
6, Peter.
Hell yeah.
Fair enough.
Let's go, Peter.
Fair enough. I'd be extremely interested in how our collective votes would weight.
Oh man. Number 5?
Yeah, 5.
Balunga. I love that balloon.
Number 5, Canagon.
Number 5, Baron Spider.
Number 4, Gameron.
Number 4, Pegula.
Number 4, Garamon, Salad Fingers' son.
You did it a third time. You did it again.
I swear to God, if you do this in a hypothetical future 5 years from now where Garamon comes up again.
Rosin will remember that.
Number 3, top 3, motherfucking Baron Spider.
My number 3, Balunga.
My number 3, Khmer.
Ooh, cool. Number 2, Garamon.
My number 2, Khmer.
My number 2, Pegula.
Hell yeah. Number one, I really wasn't lying last week. Goga.
My number one, somehow, despite my expectations, also Goga.
Wow, my number one. Surprising no one, considering it is literally the one thing from the show I own. Kennegon.
Hell yeah.
I was expecting like Pegula or something to be higher, but no, I was just like, that is a cool drill. That is a cool snail.
It's a cool snail.
The thing is, to me, I really liked how my number 5 sorted out, because I feel like it is going to be everything I think of this show, between Kennegon, Pegula, Khmer, Garamon, and Baron Spider. It's like, yes, that is the show to me. Are those 5?
I forget, Red, where did you put Khmer?
I put Khmer quite low, to be honest. I put it at 15.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's cool.
Yeah,
but, it's a lot of competition.
I have easier time ranking tier lists than like actually number things, and sorter logic happens.
Khmer, to me, represents this show's best bout of like doing horror, where I just saw that thing on that fence and I'm like, this is fucking freaky.
I feel like Khmer is just like, this is what Ultra Q is, at like doing all of its stuff at once in its best way.
he does get big. He is a weird alien.
He does the weird alien thing.
He does.
Ippei does something.
He makes a funny little noise.
Yeah, he runs real goofy to Sonic Adventure music.
Yes.
The Balloonga made my top 5 because I just that episode is so cool.
I'm
when
surprised
it just drains the typhoon.
Yeah,
I'm surprised Balloonga wasn't higher for me. I mean, 9 is still pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's so many good guys in the show.
There are.
But yeah, a fucking balloon that eats a typhoon. What the fuck? The special effects in that episode, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like 27 on my list. I'm like, yeah, I like all these guys, and then there's like M1 and Gorga.
What were they doing with M1? What was going on there?
I don't know. I don't
M1
like it,
feels the Flight 2206 episode feels kind of like the train episode, where it's like, this didn't need to have a kaiju in it, though I do feel like M1 is meshed in the plot more than fucking Total.
Yeah.
This is true.
This is true, but also, I feel like, because you said the trio of episodes that were written by that pair was the Canagon one, the I Saw a Bird one, and the Baron, not Baron Spider, the Dragon's Palace.
Yes.
Which means that the people who were working on M1 were going like, oh, we can do that too. No, they couldn't. They didn't have it.
I'd be extremely interested in seeing like which writers and directors worked on like subsequent Ultraman episodes. We should do a comparison when we finish.
That was what I was planning on doing. So something that my friend Fang got me into the habit to when we were doing our Kamen Rider podcast, which I'm still editing episodes for. I'm really sorry those aren't out. Is paying attention to writer and directors for episodes, because like you can start to make some pretty interesting through lines of like what their visions of what the material they're working on are and how that differs from other like duos and stuff. And that is something that, because I'm pretty sure this exact same team of people are going to be doing all of the Ultraman stuff.
There is no way it's not the same people. Like maybe they got some new guys and maybe some guys leave, but it's probably the same core group of people.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, that might be a fun little project for me, is to try to just maybe I'll start with Ultraman and stuff, coming with like a little bio of like these people and what else they've worked on.
Maybe what we can do when we get into Ultraman, we can like, when we're doing the summaries, we can also mention who wrote this episode. We can also say they wrote this episode of Ultra Q, etc., so we can like.
I would be happy to do that work.
Yeah.
Because that's just the type of stuff that interests me. So I will make to do that for next time.
Like, there's definitely going to be cases in like the future, because like Ultraman as a franchise is a lot more episodic as a tradition, even to this day, than like Kamen Rider Sentai. Even as it has become like more serialized over time, there's still like, especially like they get like special people to like write. I don't know how much is true in like the modern era, but like in the 90s, 2000s, you have like writer directors making their own weird episodes of Ultraman, etc. So that'll be a thing like going forward as well.
Nice. I assume that as the rest of the industry changes, they lean more and more into being that. Is I assume how that happens.
Yeah, because like for Super Raya, it's definitely the feeling it's like Ultra series and like Ultraman specifically is their golden goose, and like they can't lead on Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, Precure, Dragon Ball, One Piece, etc., like Toei can, Digimon, etc.
Yeah. Man. Well, that unless we have anything else to add at the end here, I think that was Ultra Q. I think we're done.
Can't believe it.
We've done it.
We did it. Fuck.
Yeah, we've done it, and not next week because we're gonna take a week break because I need to move. So we're gonna take a week break, and then we'll be coming back for Ultraman. The very first thing I'll be doing when I hit record on Ultraman is going to be saying, if you didn't watch Ultra Q, go back.
Yeah.
Stop.
Watch.
Go back.
Be like us and watch Ultra series in order.
Yeah. Ultra Q rules. It was a really good time.
Yeah, so next time, not next week, we'll be watching... So we'll be watching the first 3 episodes of Ultraman.
Mm-hmm.
But also, we'll be watching a short thing. Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know how long it is. But like, we're going to be watching something called The Birth of Ultraman, which was a pilot that aired the week before Ultraman aired.
Cool.
So you can find that. So like, it was only released officially in English on like a really limited release thing, but you can certainly find it somewhere.
You listen. I'm not a snitch. You go find that.
Yeah. God, Ultraman really reminds me of Mega Man. I don't know why that word.
We do talk about Mega Man a lot in this podcast.
We do talk about Mega Man a lot.
Someone has certainly archived this somewhere. Probably.
Like an organization? Like a dot organization?
Yes, maybe.
Perhaps. Who could say?
But yeah, we'll be doing 4 episodes next time. The pilot and then 1 to 3. And I'll be in 2 weeks for when you're listening to this. On the Thursday. Because we're switching.
Yeah. We are both taking a week break and also changing our time slot. We're good. We're moving to Thursdays.
This won't happen every single time. We promise.
No. All right. Well, I think that's an episode. Let me just go into plugs. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at @ultra_Q. That is at @ultra_QUEUE. If you want to follow me on Twitter, that is at @gender_redacted. Who wants to go next?
Me. I am at Rosenbrand on Twitter.com. I didn't get around to making more YouTube stuff like I promised. Listen, life is hard. But Resident Evil 4 Remake is right on the horizon, and I still have not played the remakes for 2 or 3. So I think just to refresh myself, because I'm not as familiar with it as I am the original 2, I'm going to do a quick playthrough, just like privately, of the original version of 3, just so I have it fresh in my brain. Then I think I'm going to do a streamed playthrough of 2 and 3 Remake in the lead up to 4 here, and just have a little Resident Evil marathon every night for a bit, so... And nice. I'm planning on starting that tonight. I have not told anyone except for you two about this. So.
Oh, shit.
So the people listening to this won't know until it's already happened.
Nope. But that's you can go back and watch the stream archives. It'll probably be a fun time. So
yeah. All right. Mal.
Yeah, my Schrodinger's Twitter account is at Dear Crowns. I have a Twitch, Cosmic_Crown. That's where I'm playing Paper Mario, by the way.
Nice.
We also have our podcast email address. We did not get any emails this week, but would have been nice, but it's okay. It's fine.
Do you hear that? Send us emails.
Yeah, please do.
We'll cry.
I just got like a little flashback to that time I was shamed for not looking at the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not going to shame our audience the way I shame you too.
That's fair.
Yeah, the email address is ultraqpod@gmail.com. Send any questions, thoughts, etc. Or, Kaiju rankings. We'll talk about them. And then, I guess we'll see you on the other side with the Silverman.
Yeah, he's on his way. I have yet to convert to Catholicism. I'm gonna resist.
We're gonna have such a weird idea of what this show is before we actually watch it, and then we're gonna be
absolutely
like,
no.
It's a
We
superhero
are talking completely out of our ass about Ultraman, and then we're gonna rock up next week with like, okay, well, ignore everything we've said for the last 9 weeks.
Unfortunately, we can only forestall the Silverman approaching one more week as Red moves. But otherwise,
Red is moving so that they can escape the Silverman, but the Silverman is big and sees all.
Yeah.
Red just moves into their new flat and is like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And Ultraman just sitting there on the couch.
Yeah.
Reading a newspaper.
God damn.
Hear about these banks closing?
Yeah. Can't escape. All right. Well, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So mind and body separate, etc. I did this at the beginning.